Hi, hello, and welcome back to this all new episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Samantha Bremekamp, and today we're going to focus on seed preparation, organizing those seeds that we saved from last year, perhaps picking out some new ones, figuring out timing for if they get direct sowed outside or if we start them inside, and narrowing down the finalists for this year's garden. Who will make the cut? We don't know, but super hopeful that everybody makes it. They won't because the garden's not that big. But anyway, and yes, I want it to be dahlia season in a big bad way. We're not there yet. We'll get there. And it's very important before we start getting into this crazy seed business, which we'll see what I mean in a minute. But we're going to fuel up first using the incredible edible egg that we've gotten from our friend Alex. Thank you for having chickens and sharing your eggs with us, especially during these days where, the costs are absolutely insane. And if I am being honest, I want the fluffiest scrambled eggs of all time. And I thought adding milk would make them fluffier, which it did, cream and whatever. But then we went and found out that the best way to make the fluffiest, most delicious scrambled eggs of your life is to use ricotta. Yep, you heard that correctly. You're adding ricotta to eggs and fluffing. It's very important. You're going to, of course, want to scramble the eggs to make them scrambled eggs. And usually you're probably used to using a whisk, but I'm not going to whisk it for this biscuit. Because the ricotta is thick, you're going to want to use a fork. Otherwise, all of the ricotta will get stuck inside of your whisk and you're going to regret it because it's just a big pain and it doesn't, do anything. So we're going to fork it instead of whisking it, and away we'll go. I still can't get over how beautiful these homegrown eggs are. And you know what? They make a huge difference. It's quite remarkable to see. Not only are they more delicious, in my opinion, but also the shells have so much more going on than like what looks like bleached egg shells that we get in mass production. If you have the ability to have some chickens, now is the time to do it. Being able to grow or raise a lot of your own stuff is going to save you so much money. Plus, if things get scarce, which they could do, having a source without having to worry about, will the grocery store run out of it, makes a huge difference. So now that we have cracked the eggs into, I'm using a measuring cup just to have a deep enough space that I'm not going to splash this on myself. Now we're going to add some ricotta cheese. So far so good, but the cool thing about them is that a little heat goes a long way. So you put it on the stovetop and you start it low and slow, and you slowly heat it up, and it doesn't necessarily need to go above 3, depending on how much time you have, which is great because most of the other things, which are like, weak sauce comparatively, you usually just kind of pump it right up, especially if you're not a professional chef. You don't realize that it's important to the slow burn is what it's all about in so many aspects of life, but cooking also. So yes, super awesome. I believe they're a person who is like partnered with them, or maybe helped design it or whatever it is. Gordon Ramsay, that snuggle bug of a man. But cheers. Thank you for backing a pre-slime product. Okay. This is what it looks like. Delicious, delightful, the lovely egg. Once you have mixed thoroughly, so you're not seeing like big patches of just egg floating around because that's kind of a bummer, you're going to turn it up a little bit and just put it directly in. I will squirt a little oil because I'm a big baby, but you really, especially if it gets heated up correctly, you do not need to put in butter or oil or whatever. Your pan absolutely will be awesome. But I'm baby and right into the pan. A light, slight sizzle so you know it's warming up. Dump this in the sink real quick. You can come with me if you want. Pretty exciting stuff. Add the shells to this little bowl. We're adding all the shells. I will find a spot for them outside so that they can be dry, and then we can turn it into calcium powder. I don't know if you caught that little episode. I used a blender. I took the eggshells that I had left out on racks to dry in the sun, and then I threw them in, and it was amazing. Okay, let's see how the pan's going. Be tossing in some freeze-dried chives. Obviously, if I had fresh chives in the garden, that's what I would choose. But we got a bunch of these. I forget why. So I'm trying to utilize them as much as possible because we have multiple containers. The excitement, So it's important using this. You're going to keep fluffing and moving egg around. You want egg on your face, you want it in your belly. So make sure it's extra fluffy. Okay. Thank you, Peebo. You may remember my camera woman. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to be using this, and I'm going to just be constantly moving it around because I do not want any of the eggs to burn. I want it to be fluffy, delightful, lovely, and delicious, just like you. So here we go. Okay. Oh yeah. You can see, I'll do it like that. It does not stick. I know, I was trying to stick to my face. Thank you, Peebo. I know. I set up Peebo so it tracks my face, but it's making it a little bit more difficult because I'm wanting to show you what's in the pan. So if I move my face towards the pan, here we are. This isn't awkward. This is just lovely. But in the pan, hopefully you see, nothing's sticking. And it is wonderful. I'm going to, of course, want to use 2 hands. So we're going to have you catch me back in a second when this is all floofed up. So hopefully you can hear the sizzle that this is making. And if not, hopefully now you can. But super fluffy, by the way. I definitely added bacon bits because as soon as I hit pause on recording, I was like, ooh, you know what I have in the fridge? I always have some bacon bits just in case. You can't smell it, but it smells amazing. And if you could see, it's never gone above 3. I'm going to turn that off now because I don't need it. That's how quick it was. Literal seconds. And now I'm going to plate it and eat it, and I'm just so happy. And the Hexware is so freaking cool. So cool. And yes, it's really hard being a, background in loving books, being a book person, book slinger, if you will, slash background in being a librarian and a nerd for D&D. I keep wanting to say a Hexen Beast. No, if you watch Grimm, you know what I'm talking about. That's not what this is at all. So these are awesome. I highly recommend Hexclad for life. Call me if you want me to represent you. I know you have Gordon Ramsay, but if you want like the yin to his yang, I'm your girl. So now I get to totally enjoy this beautiful, delicious scramble with chives, with bacon bits, but with the secret ingredient being ricotta. That's why they're so fluffy and amazing. And the Hexclad was so awesome, super easy to use. Marmalade, super into this because there's bacon. And no, we don't give her human food outside of like apples, but like we really can't call dibs on those, nature. But hi, you're not getting any of this. She has a little peanut butter orange in, which is super cute. Anyway, bon appetit. Try it today. Easy, delicious, lovely. Now you know my secret ingredient. Now it could be yours. You're serving brunch or just have in-laws over or friends, you want to impress yourself, this is the way to go. There's nothing better than a delicious breakfast to get your day going and get you pumped for gardening stuff like seed sorting, which is going to be a beast. We'll do it together. using the alphabet, maybe. I don't know. Let's not get too crazy, but so good. So easy. Would you like some? Maybe later? Well, rude. I think 3 eggs is probably too much, but usually I'm making this for both me and my fiance Kevin, so maybe I'll take him some. I don't know. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm. We've fueled up and we're all raring to go. I am going to be sharing with you some tips that I have for sorting seeds. Don't get overwhelmed. I'm gonna guess you're not gonna have as many as I do yet, unless you're way past my level, which is totally cool. But the things that I have used, that if you've caught any of those episodes, to organize seeds, I use these awesome little teeny tiny manila envelopes that you would get from the nurse's office if you've lost a tooth. So thank you to my mom, who's a retired school nurse, super awesome and amazing, who would buy these in bulk with her own money, by the way, every year. So thank you for sharing those with me. I like to use a Sharpie, a skinny Sharpie. My handwriting is atrocious. Obviously, if you've caught many of the other episodes, I often use my label maker. Both my fiance Kevin and I both have label makers for those super cool organized people. If you don't have one, absolutely look for it to go on sale at a place like Michael's, um, or I don't know, the internet. But you can say, like, I have handwritten things. These were from the Snapdragons from an episode or two ago when I found some seed pods outside. I was super pumped. I always like to put what they are. I'll add the variety if I have any idea, and the date, usually the month and the year, just so you know how great of a chance they have at germinating the next year or so. Obviously, if seeds are super old, they have less of a chance of surviving. So if you come with me this way, so apart from getting your seeds, which again, I really like using a paper plate with a lip, and even if the weather's nice, I tend not to do this outside because even if with a slight breeze, if you have like super light zinnia seeds, those are going to fly everywhere, which sure could end up being really cool with some great surprises, but also with my control issues, I would rather know exactly what's happening. I'm going to also squeeze the seeds out of the marigolds uh, and put them into envelopes and label them and share them with people because it doesn't make sense to keep millions of seeds to yourself when you can only grow so many anyway. Sharing is caring, doing a trade. I see that Goggleworks has I guess, an annual seed trading day where people bring their, what extra seeds they have and swap them with other people, which is just so fun. I don't know if you know this, but after World War I or two, probably both, but after one of them, in order to sustain together, communities started having what they had called victory gardens, in which they changed from having like grass lawns, which are just such a waste of space, and just making them epic gardens. And then every Sunday, everyone would put tables out at the end of their driveway or sidewalk, and they would share them. Like if someone had an abundance of zucchini and somebody else had too many tomatoes or whatever it is, they would absolutely just share everything. And I feel like we need to go back to that. And so start watching these episodes to learn how to grow things because you're going to save so much money. Plus, it feels good. It's like meditation, great to teach kids, great to do with elders. It's a win win win. You can't go wrong. So now is the part where I take all of the seeds that I already have labeled and I start to organize them. I'm using these really wonderful cardboard trays. My partner absolutely love seltzer, so we get them by the bushel. And then I have these great things that I can use to sort. That's what I'm using. And I have decided to sort them into 3 categories this time. I don't know why I just went like this. 3 categories this time. Flowers, vegetables, and herbs. They get mixed together. And direct sow. The reason I do direct sow, or I'm going to organize them like this specifically, is so the direct sow ones, I know that they will get planted sooner outside, and I'm not going to waste time trying to do seed starting inside with them because they do so much better. Most of them actually appreciate the cold weather. Some of them wanted to switch between cold and hot, which is great because that's what our weather does all the time now. And of course, I have another box filled with bags of, like when I was deadheading, taking the dead flowers and things off of plants to collect their seeds. I still have to go through them, do the paper plate method, label them, and get them ready. And I know it looks like a lot of seeds, and it is, but I like to share and trade. So I'm going to be having a seed sharing party at my place the next couple of weeks with my local friends and people who want to come in from out of town who are avid gardeners or just even starting and share a lot of them, which is just so fun. Now, I put the date. It's very important to put the year. I'm going to go through these, and if I see some that are older than a couple years, I'm going to do the water method. I'm going to put seeds in a clear container, and I'm going to add water. And that you can tell, like, if things float to the top, that means they're kicked. If things sink to the bottom, that means they're viable seeds that have a better chance of actually germinating. And that's like the little tip of how to do that. It makes a huge difference. You should even do that before you're going to start planting with your seeds that you even collected recently or from like last season. It just makes a difference. It helps you cut through the junk that's not going to actually produce anything and take away some of your future heartache, because we know we love gardening and it's amazing, but there's some heartache in there too. So yes, plus I have a lot of seeds from things that I no longer want to grow, and it's really great sharing and giving them away. Just saying. Okay, so I figured since I just told you about the seed water test, let me demonstrate so you see what I'm doing before I start going through that box of needed to be seed extracted and labeled. First, you take a clear thing of water. I chose glass because it's clear. Now I'm going to take seeds. I'm going to try some of these. These are black creme tomatoes, which are delicious. They're from 2017. That's a while ago. So the way we're going to determine is that we're going to drop some seeds into water and see if any sink. If they all float, which is starting to look like that's what's going to happen, that means that the seeds are no good. You want seeds to have something in them, to be whole. Ooh, I'm seeing some seeds drop. Are you seeing this? Oh my gosh. I'm pretty excited. So far, it's kind of hard to say. There's about 4 or 5 seeds that actually fell to the ground, which is exciting because I wasn't expecting any of them to be viable, but you never know. So instead of just tossing them, always do the water test. Wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 have sunk, which means they're still viable. There's a shot that they will grow. That's so exciting. So I recommend, in order to like skim these out, use like a tea strainer. You want to dump them, the ones that are even tossed, that no longer have any redeemable quality. No offense, seeds, but we are super snobby when it comes to viable seeds or not. Man, I can't believe it. How fun. 2017 and still good. So for the ones that are not good, I'm just going to use this as a scoop. You're going to mix some water up when you do that. So give it a second to let it go back to having things float or sink. Don't get tricked by mixing up water and seeing seeds go up or down and be like, ooh, more. No, that's just water movement. Okay. So exciting. Slowly, carefully, switch sides. I can't believe it. I really thought that I was just going to show you that none of them sunk because it's from 2017. And lo and behold, nature is amazing and has once again surprised me. It's the good and the bad of nature. You might know a lot, you might learn a lot, but you're always going to be kept on your toes and you're always going to learn more. And what worked one year might not work the next year for a variety of reasons. Keep you on your toes. How fun. Even more have sunk, which is like so exciting. So when you put them in, you're not going to immediately be like, well, none of them sunk. It takes a second for the water to infiltrate in order to sink the ones that are in fact viable. So you're going to have to give it more than 5 seconds. And you're going to just repeat until you've gotten all the floaters. It's also really easy to just do that. Just do it this way. The strainer's great if you have a giant container of 1,000,000 seeds, but you can also just use your fingers to easily get them out. You don't want any floaters, you know? How exciting. It's okay if you don't get as excited as I do for gardening. That's why you watch the show. Because the excitement is contagious. You can take that excitement, bring it into your weekend, and get pumped for whatever it is you're doing. Even if you're like mowing the lawn and stuff. I do see one big clump of seeds. And so I'm going to go in. I'm going to pinch them apart gently because I highly doubt that all of those seeds are viable. I feel like there are enough that pulled it all down with them. So break them up. You want an interloper coming in and breaking your heart. And then give them a couple more seconds. But that's easy. That's the water test. Now you know the secret. You can even do that with the seeds you get immediately because you don't know how long some companies have had these seeds. So test them and then weed out the ones that float. So every previous year, I have used a baggie, I have a wet paper towel, and I have put seeds in it. This year, we are going to go on this journey together, and we're going to do the thing where we put a little bit of seed starting dirt in a baggie. We'll add the seeds, and then we're going to add some water and put it in like a windowsill. When the temperatures get warmer, I will put these outside. But I mean, today it's like almost 60 in the sun, and tomorrow it's going to be 30. So yeah, it's not quite time to be able to sow these directly outside. I'm going to take the seeds that I had just shown you that are, say they're viable. There is no guarantee in life, but just trying, just knowing with that water method, sink or swim, no floaters, just stinkers and sinkers. And I'm not going to do too many. I will grow some for friends and loved ones that are not, either don't have the time, energy, or understanding to do it themselves. And that's it. I'm also going to label it with a fat marker, permanent. You can also use the label maker, which of course I love to do. So these are black crim. I'm going to put Tom. I know they're tomatoes, but should something happen and somebody else needs to be able to do it, boom, that's it. Just add a little water. I'm not going to drown them. I'm just going to make sure the soil gets nice and wet. I'm going to go find a sunny spot in a windowsill to start these, just because I can. And you can too. Baggy, seed starting soil, seeds, water method. I didn't do all of them. I'm going to let these dry and I'm going to put those back in the envelope, in case I need them for next year or to share them. And I'm going to do that for all of these before I go planting them in bags. But right now, where we live in Berks County, you can start sowing inside tomatoes and eggplants. You do chives, onions, parsley. I don't like cilantro, but if you do, that's cool. It's none of my business. And there's some other ones. Oh, things that you could direct sow outside, vegetable wise, if you're into it, and you have a great method to fight off aphids, like the little horrific bugs that eat your plants. If you know how to keep them in check, you can do broccoli and cauliflower, cabbage. You got to beware of cabbage flies, and then Brussels sprouts, which is my fiance's absolute favorite. But those can actually go out now because they are totally cold tolerant and actually prefer it. So that's up to you. I'm not going to grow those things because, again, I have a space issue, and I have not in the past had too much luck fighting off the aphids, which are like all of a sudden they're swarmed all over the place, and you use like duct tape to get them off of the branches and stuff. Cold neem is supposed to work for that. Also, if you are smart, you'll import a lot of ladybugs, which is something I'm considering. Ladybugs are like the warriors of the garden, and they will protect your things at all costs. And they will eat all of the bad bugs, and they will leave the good bugs alone. Ladybugs are your friend. Make sure it's not the beetle one that pretends that it's a ladybug and secretly tries to eat everybody. But we'll have plenty of time to show you those examples in another episode. Happy sow starting. Friends, that's all the time we have today for this episode of Sam Explains the World. I'm still your host, Samantha Bremekamp, and thank you for coming on this journey with me. I hope my suggestions are helpful to you. I hope that you have great success in figuring out what you want to plant and where. And also, I hope you have a seed party or you get invited to one. A lot of communities have them. And I really think that everybody should start gardening to start growing a lot of your own produce and things. If you have the space, obviously, I'm super jealous, but get chickens, maybe a goat. I don't know. I think it's time for us to not be as dependent on, corporations when we could, in fact, be self-sustaining and community active. Why not? Worst case scenario, we save money. Best case scenario, we get to know the people around us better and find out who's super cool with gardening, who might need help, and where you're going to get something that like you have always had trouble growing. For me, garlic and onions for some reason, which is funny because when I have them at home, if I neglect them, they grow just fine. But for whatever reason, trying to grow from seed outside has never worked. We'll see. Happy gardening. I look forward to seeing you next Friday right here, 9 p.m. on BCTV. Get growing.